Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode number 139 of the Titanforge podcast. Joining me this week, as always, is Tettles.
Yo.
And Trell.
What up?
What up? And I'm, of course, Dratnos. And this week we have a mailbag episode. We got a bunch of Q&A questions that we're going to go through and talk about. Before we do that, however, we do have some small different pieces of news to take a quick look at. The first of which is the Shrouded Affix has received a little bit of a change, actually a little bit more than a week ago, on the PTR. So this is the upcoming seasonal affix. We did an episode a little ways ago talking about how this affix worked and talking a little bit about it as one of our topics. But the TLDR is that some mobs in the dungeon are replaced with Dreadlords, and they give you a stat when you kill them. You choose whichever stat you want, and you get stacks of that over the course of the dungeon. And the change to this affix was the verse buff has been reduced from 2% per stack to 1%, which my guess was that verse was going to be the best option for most mid to high key type situations based off just the defensive benefits of having like 40% verse. So a nerf coming into that, yeah.
Well, verse was also like 1.3, like 1% versatility is like 30% more stats than, or 2% versatility was like 30% more stats than 2% haste or 2% critical strike. So it made sense that it was always going to be the go-to pick. So them slamming it from 2% to 1%. It sucks for the classes that I guess still want versatility, right? Outside of the defensive benefit, like if you want it to be offensive focused, say you're like a Windwalker monk or whatever, kind of sucks. Everybody else, now you're able to actually take other options and feel less bad. I don't know what you're supposed to do about mastery still, because you're gonna run into stat DR with mastery, but there's not really shit you can do about this.
I feel like for verse they should have done only nerfing the defensive gain from verse. I don't know if that's even possible actually. Like only getting half the defensive gain, but keeping verse functioning the same.
Yeah, because definitely like I don't know. I kind of feel like for high keys, the verse is still maybe going to be the best thing you can be doing because it'll just make things livable. But if you don't have the damage without going for the haste or crit, then that might be what you're talking about instead. The mastery, like Tettle said, it's very hard to imagine mastery being the pick because since it's not giving you percent, it's giving you a flat number of mastery rating because of the way mastery works. That means it's going to run into that Shadowlands diminishing returns of the stat, which means that especially if you're the kind of person that was picking mastery, you probably already have a bunch of mastery on your gear, and so this will pretty quickly mean that you're actually probably effectively getting like 40 mastery per stack or something if you've got 10 or 15 stacks of this thing.
I could be way off on this because it's going to be such a weird, unique season, and almost always at the end of an expansion, player power is so high and dungeon mobs hit so hard in addition to that survivability is almost always the more important thing at the higher end. Once, like if you're playing the right spec, then all you need is more defense to do the higher key levels, not offense. So I do think versatility is probably still going to be a pick, even though it's nerfed a lot. But I could be wrong.
It will be definitely interesting to look into, and I wonder if people will move around their itemization a little bit to be like less stacking of a certain stack and then a stat and then just get it all from this buff, because that might be the best way to min-max. I don't know.
Are you guys excited for season 4 and like keep pushing in season 4?
Yeah,
I was initially. I don't know how I feel about it anymore because I'm wishing that this season currently would be longer.
Sure.
Because prog wrapped up, for the average cutting edge raider, like right now, and the season's ending in like 3 weeks. And so I think there should have been some more time for people to actually enjoy the gear and play the game, PvP and Mythic Plus, whatever you want to do. But also, I mean, it does sound fun to do the new dungeon or the old dungeons, quote unquote new, again, or experiencing them in a different way and have all the old gear scale up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next season. I want to do those dungeons. I want to have a guaranteed whatever item I want instead of still not having my stupid jailer weapon 5 months into this raid.
You don't have it,
Congratulations
dude?
on
No,
not
I
having
have
your jailer weapon.
10 jailer kills now or something, and a bunch of heroic kills as well, and great vault slots, and
I think Salutbag has found 4 Gavels
yeah,
total.
yeah, including just in like one vaults as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like too upset about it or anything. I'm excited for a season with deterministic loot where I will be able to buy whatever, like the gavel if I don't get it.
Oh yeah, do you guys know what you're gonna buy already? I think I already know.
Gavel of the First Arbiter on my DK for sure. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
guess Warrior Soul.
Yeah, Warrior Soul, a cheat death like Weaver Warp Fates or something, or Shard of Van Hild's Aegis, something like that. Maybe use the third one to buy some DPS thing. I don't know. That's the hard part is like if you want to do multiple specs, 3 is not a lot, but if you just play one spec, 3 is enough to buy whatever you want.
Yeah,
That is kind of a problem. Sorry, go ahead.
There's so much good melee stuff for this expansion. The caster shit's all kind of lame. Like the only thing you're really looking at as a caster is like Untumbra, and you're like everything else is the trinkets. There weren't like any insane
Kabbalist Hymnal.
Who cares? Like literally, who cares? Like stuff like that. There are no trinkets that are that insane.
Yeah, because casters have been using M+ trinkets all expansion. Next season, you won't even have IQD or Ordnance or whatever, like any other Changeling, Ruby. Those are going out of the pool. You're going to have to get like a...
Oh no, I can't use IQD and give my healer mana or heal myself every time.
Yeah, now you're going to have to go get like an Urn from Karazhan or a stat stick from Grimrail Depot. And int haste on
down
use.
for an urn. Amen.
Yeah.
Say no more.
For Brew, I'm probably getting for sure getting Aegis, the trinket, the RDM trinket, Reflected Defense Matrix trinket, and then probably a Vein Ripper, all from Sanctum.
Yeah, Sanctum's got some good stuff for sure. Yeah, it's interesting as well because like what you use your guaranteed purchase on. If you're a guild that like if you can kill Painsmith, but you're not going to kill Jailer or whatever, like maybe you just try and drop the Vein Ripper or like mythic upgrade the Vein Ripper because you can get the mythic upgrade pieces and just like do that and then use your purchase thing on a piece from a boss you're not actually killing, like Jailer or Sire or Sylve or something. I don't know. It'll be a somewhat interesting decision that I'm sure I will have some more thoughts on as we actually see what the timings look like.
It's one of those things.
I know, it's so hard to say right now.
Yeah.
Once we see it, it's like going to be weird.
Okay, we also had the Priest talent tree come out. Some interesting stuff in there. Power Infusion remaining in the game. Of course, a divisive one.
Boo.
I think that the Power Infusion thing, like the discourse behind that, kind of whatever to me. What do you think about the differences in like the 3 talent tree previews that we've seen so far? Basically, there's, at least baseline, there's not a lot of uniformity between what we're seeing between classes, like almost at like a base level, with like the abilities that we're seeing baseline versus not, and like what you're forced to talent into. I know that Shadow in particular had something like 8 0 DPS talent options just in their spec tree, whereas I think that Moonkin had 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, Shadow had like
I would expect Moonkin to have so much utility that's like not DPS at all.
It's all in the Druid tree.
All attached to the class. Yeah. All of mine was class based, and then it's like Shadow has to talent into Dispersion and stuff like that.
Or do they?
Shadow has to talent into Dispersion. I'm looking at you, Shadow Priest player who only cares about DPS. You have to talent into Dispersion.
Unless.
No, there is no unless. Talent immediately.
Unless just perhaps we could save a couple of points and get a little more damn.
Anyways, like it's kind of weird that there's no uniformity. Oh well, I guess we'll see. I think it'll come down to like how it realistically feels. I haven't been upset with any of the talent trees yet, and it does seem like you're getting a lot of cool stuff that you really want to talent into it.
Disc getting Wicked Star from Anduin, just like a silence thing. That's going to be kind of crazy for M+. Yeah. I will say they've been exciting trees to read through. Priest is the class I'm like least hours in the past 5 years or something, but it's definitely still just always really fun to read through. So yeah, whether it actually shakes out in that there are multiple different talents that you'll choose between that are interesting or not, and whether the builds that are best are fun to play or not. Like those are the two variables that matter for how good the system is, and there's just no way to know, right, until we get to play with them.
Looked like the Disc Priest players were happy that Light's Wrath is back.
Yeah, Light's Wrath. Definitely an old favorite. That's Mistweavers getting their revival button ready for when they see that thing in the air, as always.
Dude, I healed the boss on Mistweaver this week. Skolex.
Ooh.
I didn't get hit by a single puddle.
Oh my god.
I'm proud of you.
Also this weekend we have the MDI. MDI Global Finals. Should be pretty exciting. There's a title available as well if you connect your YouTube account to your Battle.net and watch like 2 hours. You can get the Fearless Spectator title.
Oh shit, something that I forgot to put in the show notes. There's also the Amazon Prime horned thing that you can get the Prime Gaming reward. Do you remember that? Did you guys see that the other day?
Oh yeah,
like
there's a Twitch Prime.
Ones.
Yeah, the Twitch Prime Firelight or Firelord helmet thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do connect your Battle.net to all those things and get all those rewards.
Where do you do that at? Do you guys know?
This stuff.
What was the question, Charles? Sorry.
So where do you even go to do that? Do you go on Battle.net or on Amazon?
For the Jewel of the Firelord?
Yeah.
Have you ever used Twitch Prime loot before?
No, I actually have not.
Okay, so if you have Twitch Prime, it's like if you go to Twitch and then you go top right, there's this little crown
it's
thing.
By your notifications.
Yeah, your Prime Gaming loot, and you go in there and you can. One of these will be a World of Warcraft one, and then you click on that and you get to connect.
Yeah. But then the Fearless Spectator title, you have to connect your YouTube to your Battle.net.
Right, which there's a Wowhead post, which I believe, actually it's just the blue post recopied over there, but yeah, that shows you how to go. If you go in here, you just go, log into YouTube, navigate to account sharing under connected apps, or literally just click this link in the blue post, click connect and connect them, and then, watch for 2 hours and get the Fearless Spectator title. So then you can con people into thinking you're a fearless gladiator if they don't look for too long.
I like that they're doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
this is cool.
I think.
I saw people upset about it, and I'm just like, why? There's no downside, right? I don't get it.
Yeah, I feel like for the longest time, I don't know, just Twitch drops or YouTube drops for watching stuff is just clearly good.
As somebody who would benefit if they do Twitch drops during an expansion launch or something, I would be very, very happy with that. That would be quite cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's also Echo Pick'ems if you're interested in guessing your own Dragonflight picks. You can go to pickems.echoesports.gg and do your bracket and say who you think's going to win. And there's some prizes and stuff. There's extra raffle for everybody who beats me as well. So I put some intentionally bad picks in my bracket just to help more people.
Was that a picture of you with sunglasses at the top?
There's a promo video I helped make for this as well. Yeah. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what if they get the exact same score as you? Then what?
I don't know what the rules are for that. I just make the promo videos and the brackets, man. That's somebody else's department. All right, last piece of news before we go into the Q&A questions. We do have another big blue post of Dragonflight crafting stuff that's just come out. A lot of info in here. Big, meaty read if you're interested about all the quality and stuff. But one revelation in here towards the bottom of this post was that there will be up to 5 crafted pieces that you can equip at once. 2-handed weapons counting as 2. And through optional reagents, they can be brought up to heroic or even mythic raid item levels, making them competitive with some of the best gear you can find. But you will need to use optional reagents, and if you want to upgrade stuff to mythic, you'll need to acquire reagents that can only be acquired from mythic raids, the highest levels of M+, and highly rated PvP. In before highest levels of M+ means just 10s or 15s or something, but
15s,
still. Yeah, it'll be...
Well, you guys need to be doing the highest levels of Mythic Plus, level 8 or higher.
Please do not talk if you don't have high Mythic Plus IO score.
700
or yeah.
Classic Twitch comment.
That'd be a good meme.
It is, yeah. So this is interesting change. We may see a lot of crafted items on characters early in the expansion as a result of this. That's some high eye level stuff available. So, got to see exactly how it works out.
So
yeah, I think there's a lot of open-ended questions, but personally, I'm just excited that I can craft mythic pieces eventually, or early on, hopefully, that I otherwise might have bad RNG on getting.
Yeah, now to be fair, there is still going to be tier, and I don't know if there's a creation catalyst system to let you like catalyze crafted pieces into tier. So getting set bonus is probably still going to be a big deal, and depending on if they carry forward some way of getting it from outside the raid, which hopefully they do, but they haven't talked about, that will be like you won't be able to use this to just get fully raid level, but maybe all of your off pieces can be mythic from just these crafted systems, and you can get a crafted mythic weapon, which is a big deal, right? A lot of your DPS comes from your weapon for a lot of specs. So yeah, it's a big post. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Not going to go too in detail on it, but I personally am really excited for all of the depth of crafting that it looks like they're bringing back this time. I'm a little worried about potentially, depending on how this works out, if I have to do a bunch of degenerate stuff to craft all these mythic pieces for the first day of raid or something.
That's kind of the only thing that like I'm really worried about is like if there are any pitfalls. But overall, it seems like it's a system that's going to benefit most players, assuming that you're not going to have to pay some stupid expensive premium to get like high level gear. And as always, you can also use just your own reagents if you are that person that is doing those highest level of content as well.
Yeah, there is a system where you can use either your or the crafters like bind on pickup reagents, so it will be this will be solvable with gold almost for sure. It's just a question of how much gold.
Whatever. That there is a world where it's kind of weird for race world first raiders, but I wonder like if it's going to affect just normal players.
Yeah, we'll see what the price tag is on getting your 5 mythic BOEs and like all that stuff. That will be an interesting thing that they're either way, I'm just cool they're taking a swing at crafting, and if it does some weird and bad stuff to raid the first time they do it, hopefully they can fix that and keep the cool stuff for crafters.
Yeah, in my opinion, crafting can only get better.
Yeah.
I feel like crafting is so bad right now.
Yeah, that being said, I do empathize with people that like spent 500k or 1 million gold this expansion on legendary base pieces, and if we're looking at the price tag for buying good stuff from the auction house going up next expansion rather than down, that's probably not good, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, Q&A time. We have a bunch of questions, and we will just start right at the top here. First one, sort of related to this, is from Freddie, who asks, or Fred, who asks, would you like...
Nasumi.
That is Nasumi. Yeah.
Okay. Would you like a system where we only get gear from raid, but you can get to do any M plus key level you want, you can do any PvP level you want, and trinkets are on a token exchange basis based on the content you do? I don't necessarily understand all of the, like, what it means, like, you can do any PvP level you want, you can do any M plus key level you want.
I think to summarize what he's saying, I didn't get it the first time I read it, but I think I got it now. But what he's saying is PvP and Mythic Plus do not drop gear, but they drop tokens.
Yeah.
So if you can do super high level PvP or Mythic Plus, like higher than 15 or higher than 2100 PvP, I'm assuming, then you probably get the token to trade in for a Mythic high level piece from raid.
Okay.
I think I would be down for that, because that just allows you to gear in any content you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. Like, reading this initially, only get gear from raid does not sound like a good thing to me. But if you can, I guess, get some kind of gear progression out of the M plus and the PvP level, I don't know. Reading this, like, the point one here seems like you can do any M plus key level you want. That sounds like just like a system where you don't have to like level your key, right? One where you could just go in and set the key level to whatever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm against almost all of those things as written, but if it's instead meaning, some system of like getting a gear token from M plus that you can trade in for a specific item, I could maybe be down for slightly more choice in what items you're getting out of M plus rather than just getting like useless greaves over and over again from the same place. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really see it as. I see this as
Getting tokens feels so lame though. Like there's no, I don't know. The gear progression system in WoW is such a finicky one because it's so easy to make it feel non-rewarding is the thing. And like also we know there's like token bloat, I guess is how I would describe it, where it's just like so many currencies stacked on top of one another too, and that can cause problems in a different way. I don't know. It's just tough because
Yeah, I mean,
I think the gearing system needs to be looked at. I just don't know if that's the solution right there.
like I like what Season 4 is doing for raid gear, and I do think there's room to do some more stuff for M plus gearing as well to make it better also. But I don't. I feel like I see a lot of people suggesting to just completely reinvent the wheel when I think that probably would make the game worse than it currently is.
I agree with that. I don't think we should reinvent the wheel. I think that post was trying to do that, but I think the good thing that came out of that specifically would be just to have more choice in how to get the best gear for whatever content you want, like playing in.
Yeah, I do think some sort of system where, I mean, Season 4 kind of does this, right? Like if you're in a 3 out of 10 Mythic guild, you can get your Mythic Gavel of the First Arbiter in Season 4, which is going to be pretty cool. Like, yeah, you do still have to do some Mythic bosses, but...
and you'll probably get it later than the 10 out of 10 Mythic Raiders.
You do, yeah, you get it
yeah.
like 7 weeks in of clearing or something like that, which is, I'm already on the record as saying let's speed that up a little bit for the people clearing less bosses, but I still see Season 4 as a move in a good direction on that, and I don't like ideas of like just completely making Mythic raiding not something that you have any pull towards, because a lot of people start Mythic raiding because of the gear and then find out that they love Mythic raiding because they were pulled into it because the good gear is from it.
That was me.
Yeah, that's me too.
We're getting close to a spot like that we were talking about whenever we first started the show, how it's like Mythic Plusers and Raiders and PvPers should be able to achieve like the highest level of gear just doing the content they want to do, and not have to just spend 10,000 years grinding at all three systems. And we're slowly getting there, it feels like. Finally. Maybe.
Yeah, it has made a lot of progress. Sometimes backwards progress at the start of a patch or something, but I think we have come a long way overall.
All right, next question comes from Jason in Discord, who says, do you think Dragonflight's beta will be enough time or cycles for Blizzard to tune talent trees? I worry they'll spend a good amount of time just coming up with the talents and then try to tune overall performance based on the limited amount of builds that beta testers will play, which let's not pretend like they're going to immediately try to converge. Like they are not going to immediately try to converge on a single meta. I think that by effectively changing all the specs of the game, they are bound to make some mistakes, and I hope that in subsequent patches, they are not afraid to rework talent trees instead of just doing % nerfs and buffs.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's up in the air for me. I think there will be lots of mistakes with classes. There's no way it launches in like a flawless talent state. I think some classes will have really weird trees, and like we said, Priest in general has 9 utility options in their tree, and Boomkin has 1. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I do think it's hard to imagine that there won't be several specs that have just basically one cookie cutter build that probably is good. I will dispute the notion that beta testers are immediately going to try and converge on a single meta like that. I feel like this accusation kind of gets thrown out. I've seen Blizz devs even post this, that the online theory crafting community's goal is to converge onto a single meta and get everybody to play one thing, and that's not at all what people are trying to do. People are trying to figure out what's best. It's just often the answer is kind of obvious, and then you play that because it's kind of obvious, right? But the beta testers are going to be trying every single possible build they can come up with for talent trees. They're going to do all the different sides of the tree and all the different types of builds, and it's just probably there's going to be some that are 30% worse than the others, and you don't need to spend that long before you can dismiss those.
Yeah, you don't need to test those builds because you instantly know.
You do a little bit, and there will continue to be people that keep going back, right? But it's just it will. In some cases, if they're a lot worse, it's not easy to hide that.
As somebody who writes the Wowhead guide for Moonkin, I had to do research on all of the covenants and stuff, and I did research on Necrolord Druid, which is not really a covenant you even play. And it's at the end of the day, yeah, sure, I'm gonna converge to the stuff that's good. But I wrote feedback extensively during the beta about why Necrolord Druid was not a great covenant, and I don't need to continue to test it over and over again to explain why. It's I don't know. There's definitely I also think that it's fine with some stuff being bad or worse in this talent system. It shouldn't just be as long as your talent tree as a whole, in my opinion, is not just flat out awful, there is stuff and builds that you're just going to be incorrect taking, especially for certain situations. I think that it is important, though, that they are willing to rework some of the noding in particular in the middle of the expansion, and they are normally very apprehensive of touching classes at like an overarching level in the middle of an expansion, but I think that they need to kind of get over that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I do think like if there's a talent build that, like if there's like a keystone talent, right? Like Frost DK, for instance, has the obliteration side of the tree and the Breath of Syndragosa side of the tree, right? And like if the obliteration side of the tree is 30% worse than the Breath of Syndragosa side of the tree, like they should not just be looking at balancing Frost DK, but they should be looking at balancing the sides of the tree. Not necessarily so obliteration's better than Frost or than Breath of Syndragosa. Maybe you look at it and you're like, look, Breath of Syndragosa is harder and more fun. It should be the best talent. But like, let's bring obliteration within 10% or something like that if it's not, if it isn't. And yeah, I think that's something that they should really prioritize doing, is balancing more than just the best builds of the spec, but balancing builds within the spec.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Okay, next one comes from Ford, who asks, what is the best way to combat player fatigue / burnout during farm? Currently 2 nights a week and regressing on farm due to lack of attention to mechanics and people not playing their class correctly.
That's a tough one. That's going to be different for every guild, but I think you just have to, as leadership, you have to find the middle ground of what everyone wants as their goals and try to strike a bargain. You know, let's cut out our last day of raid this week, but let's try our best to clear the raid before that day so that we're not missing anything or something like that, you know?
Yeah, my guild, for the record, like we killed Jailer, then we did not pull the Jailer again for more than a month. We took like 2 weeks off, then we did like 3 out of 10 or 3 out of 11 on 1 week, and then we like slowly started working back up to it, but we were on very chill farm schedule. Started doing, sales and stuff recently, and I've been doing those kinds of things, but like our plan to combat the burnout and fatigue was basically to just take it really easy this time around. But you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because if you're in a guild where there are people that want to kill the Jailer the second week after you killed it before, that is like you are going to have problems if you tell them, no, we're not coming back here for a month. So you're going to have to strike a compromise.
You also have to be careful with taking breaks too. Like Dratnos' guild, they can probably take a break for an X amount of time and be good either way, because they're at such a high ranking that people will likely stick around. But in lower ranking guilds, if you take a long enough break, you're probably going to lose some people to other guilds that want to keep playing.
Yeah.
And so you got to just measure out what it's going to be. And sometimes it's unavoidable. Those people might leave either way if the group's not going to be able to play for a couple weeks, So you just got to take everything with a grain of salt.
Dratnos, your break is why you didn't get a gavel.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's okay, I don't care.
Either the gavel is gated behind the second week's Jailer kill.
I see, yeah. We we needed a lot of nerfs before we could kill it without cheating. I don't know what to say. All right, next question comes from Vidal, who asks, are we expecting class changes for Season 4? We know that there are at least Destro and Serve ones planned for Season 4. It is my firm hope that there are several more. I hope there's Vengeance changes, Guardian changes, Arcane changes, Outlaw changes, Mistweaver changes. I don't know what else. I hope there's a lot of Prot Warrior changes. Sure, just throw them all in there, right? Like
all the every tank.
Just do some buffs, do some nerfs. I don't know, like shake things up.
Please God, change the meta a little bit.
Yeah,
like, it's fine.
Just do not buff Simkin. Leave them.
As a Windwalker player, I kind of hope they don't nerf it, but at the same time, I could use a nice little 10% nerf going into Season 4 so that I fly under the radar in the Dragonflight beta and then become a god mode DPS again for the first season of that expansion.
Playing the long game.
That's right.
I do think that they're probably going to do, if anything, they're probably going to do like 1 or 2 maybe balance patches in Season 4 and then really be super focused on Dragonflight. I don't know how much attention they're going to be doing to balance tuning Season 4 realistically, because it is mostly a for fun patch.
All right, next question comes from Lirobite, who says, last show, mentioned how this season hasn't given us power over time after double legendaries in tier, right? Like the renown levels and the shards and the rank 12 cloak and the archive of the Titans or whatever, all those
Laser
systems.
Matrix.
Yeah, laser matrix, those different things that buffed us over time to make the raid easier. And that led to many nerf hotfixes over time. However, at the start of Dragonflight, the promise of no borrowed power, it doesn't look like we'll have a system to buff players over time. Do you think we'll have a repeat of many manual nerf hotfixes? And if they don't want to go down that route again, what would be a good system to buff us or nerf the raid over time without borrowed power? I think that the Archive of the Titans or Laser Matrix type solution is like a raid-focused buff over time, something that's not like... I guess that is borrowed power, sort of. So if they're really not allowed to do that, then... yeah, even like the ICC stacking weekly buff thing would maybe count as that. And if none of those are allowed, then I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd see
possible.
a similar situation to this season, but it probably in a smaller scale with smaller scaling at the beginning of an expansion. At least from my experience the last few expansions, I don't know how the numbers are going to look.
This is so tough because like they're making the gear delta between most players even smaller now with the crafting stuff that we just saw with the profession overview. And so basically almost all players are going to have whatever is the highest item level in a lot of slots now. And if they're going to end up keeping the vault. And so how are they realistically going to nerf the raid without slamming it, which people complained about a lot?
How are they going to make week 12 characters stronger than week 3 characters in a substantial way, right? Like that's the question. And I do think the best answer is probably just a raid specific planned out system of nerfs of some kind, or not nerfs, but like a stacking buff or anything like that, stacking debuff on bosses, something to that nature, that means that they don't have to do the like nerf every boss's health by 30% and nerf all of the mechanics damage by 30% thing that they've kind of done sort of piecemeal and arbitrary feeling and sort of unpredictable timing that they had this tier.
I didn't even hate the nerfs is the thing. Like what I do understand why some people took offense to it because they're like, oh, Mickey Mouse cutting edge or whatever they're saying. I disagree.
Hello Kitty cutting edge.
Yeah, whatever the hell we're saying these days. But like I didn't even take offense to like the nerfs, but I guess they're gonna have to come up with a better solution if people are gonna just constantly complain about it.
I mean, if they literally just say, tough, we're doing the nerfs this way, deal with it. I'm fine with that as well. Like, fine. Yeah, it's just like, I guess it's more just like, if they at least say that, then we'll know what the plan is gonna be, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like the problem with the nerfs this way is that like it's kind of unclear, like, you know, Halandris and Jailer go so long without receiving a nerf, and then they just get like back to back smashed into the dirt, right? And it's like, it feels kind of arbitrary if you're gonna get lucky or not with the boss you're currently on getting nerfed, or if you're gonna have a boss that you're so close to getting killed, get it cut in half and feel like your accomplishment's taken away, right? Whereas like something like a predictably stacking weekly buff is at least something you can plan for.
Did it really... Okay, so obviously it was arbitrary. Did it really feel like it was ever out of place, though?
I mean,
that's the question.
I feel like there were nerfs that should have come sooner. Like, I feel like Jailer should have been nerfed more sooner in the cycle, and maybe it wouldn't have needed to get taken out in the way that it did last week or whatever, this week, if it had been not as hard as it was for as long as it was. So, the whether a nerf is coming or not, like, I think is not a great thing to be such an important like criteria for like when a boss gets killed by a guild is like, it's just like when Blizzard decides to nerf it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
What if they nerfed every boss's health by 1% every Tuesday after World First was achieved?
Yeah, I mean that's basically like the stacking buff thing, pretty much.
1%.
Yeah. I mean 1% by now. That we what 12% or something.
What if, and hear me out, you were able to reset your Vantis runes after killing a boss successfully?
You could do that for a tier by using an old raid Vantis rune, and then coming back and using it would overwrite. Like you could use a Nighthold Vantis rune, and it would overwrite you. Little known exploit.
What tier was that you could do that in?
No comment. Next,
did you do this?
No, we didn't.
Possible?
We didn't do this, but we knew it was possible for a tier. There are some exploits we know about as well that continue to exist. That are
Gotta
cool.
watch those Those corn dogs.
Those corn
Yeah.
dogs learned a lot from Essence after they.
They're okay. Yeah, there's some other good stuff that is still in as well. But I'll be good and not say it and report it, of course.
Oh yeah,
All right. Next question comes from Arathon, who says, I want to know why everyone on Twitter is saying Alpha is coming tomorrow and are offering Shadowlands Epic Edition for a follow, like, or retweet. Well, follows, likes, and retweets are things that people want, and so they are doing a trade offer of the Shadowlands Epic Edition for those. Why are people saying the Alpha is coming tomorrow? They're making it up. They don't know. Nobody knows. Even people who have.
No, they were just making it up. How did this rumor get started, by the way?
This is the same phenomenon as why are people buying cryptocurrency?
why
one
are people
person did
buying
it, and then
toilet
another
paper?
person did it.
All the same, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there are people who have inside knowledge of when Alpha is going to be, but even those people can't be fully sure, right? Because like, there's no way that Blizzard is even fully sure until they actually push the button on a day that's going to be the day.
So Dratnos told me, and I'm gonna leak this to all the viewers of Twitch chat. Dratnos told me that Alpha is actually coming tomorrow, and if he's wrong, make sure you tweet at him.
Yeah, for sure.
Then like, follow, and retweet him.
Also, I think it's because people click on stream titles that say Dragonflight Alpha today? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. All right.
I think in reality, I think it's just because it's the beta alpha period is usually about from now until their expected release, and so people are just getting really antsy about it. That's why everyone's trying to.
It's usually longer than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So every day that beta is not out or alpha is not out is even more stress. Okay. Next question comes from Joshua, who says, how are higher level guilds handling the shortened seasons and the decline in cutting edge guilds to recruit from? Shortened season. I mean, it's one shortened season, right? Like, I guess, well, season 4 is going to be a shorter season as well, but it's kind of a weird season.
Yeah, I guess how are you going to handle season 4? Like, my guild is just going to treat it like farm. We don't have a concrete plan yet, but we're just going to go into it kind of casually, I think.
You know, it's funny. We actually talked about. I asked them. I go, "Yo, what are you guys' plans for season 4? Like, how long are you guys raiding?" I don't think anybody's doing extended hours or like prog raid schedule.
I'm sure there will be some guilds that will go for world first fated raid clears or whatever, but I don't think it will. Yeah, I don't know who exactly it's going to be. The decline in cutting edge guilds to recruit from. I personally like. I don't know. Guilds dying is kind of a good thing for short term recruitment, right? Because it's like, oh, these 20 people just became free agents. Don't mind if we do take their 5 best players, those sorts of things. But yeah, decline in cutting edge guilds to recruit from. I mean, there are a lot of guilds that just aren't going to get cutting edge this tier that got it last year or whatever, but that still exist, and it doesn't really change too much recruiting wise. If anything, it means that people might be looking to jump ship from those guilds, and maybe the higher ranked guilds that are above that cutting edge line get to benefit.
Yep, that's kind of how I view it too.
There are a lot of guilds dying, which is always, worrying, but also it's a common phenomenon end of expansion always for like guilds die end of expansion and get born also end of expansion and start of expansion. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not. At least I haven't seen too much.
That's actually a good point.
Systemic worry.
The first time I saw an end of expansion time period where a bunch of guilds died, I was like, "Damn, is the game gonna die?" And then that happened every single expansion since then, and it's fine. So I don't think it's like the biggest deal in the end. That's just how it goes.
However,
the mid-range guilds
are raiding more in the Burning Crusade than.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
They're
that's
killing
fair.
Muru, which is now confirmed to be a harder boss than Jailer as well. So,
really? Did that one take?
After
less
the
than an
latest
hour to
rounds
frog?
of Jailer nerfs, Muru is now harder once again. It was it was close before, but Muru's taking the throne again.
Long to be initially killed, so it honestly no contest. It should have never even been a question.
I asked one of my classic friends why it ended up being so much easier than everyone thought, and they said, "It turns out when you blast a boss on pole with all CDs, it dies in less than a minute, and you don't have to do anything."
Yeah, it's kind of crazy we didn't think of that 15 years ago, but we were pretty stupid. So,
Surprised that Echo didn't try that one.
all right, let's move on to tip of the week. My tip of the week comes from Silkro. Thanks for sending in this tip. He says, you can cheese the Solia's secret technique trinket to give any stat that you want by having the person you're using it on unequip items until they have the correct stat as their highest stat.
Really?
Yeah, and then it will stay. So you could have a gear set saved for each stat if you wanted to technique a certain person, but get a certain stat. You could always make that work. So, a little degenerate, but cool tip. Yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you for sending that in. That's actually sick.
Trell, what is your tip of the week?
I can't remember if we've done this or not yet, but the Creation Catalyst has more features than just converting something into a tier piece. There's like basically any armor piece in your character sheet you can convert to with the Catalyst, quote unquote, and it might change its stats and change the transmog into like the mythic raid version of the item. And so in some cases you can actually get better stats by doing this on like your bracers, for example. Like I had some Crit Mastery bracers, I catalyzed them into the mythic raid version, and now they're like haste burst, which is a little bit better.
Yeah, there's a table on Wowhead you can get if you just go to the Wowhead Creation Catalyst guide that will show you what all of the off pieces turn into. So, something to refer to if you want to see whether this will potentially upgrade you.
Yeah. You can also, obviously, you can convert 285 pieces from raid that aren't tier slots into tier slots, like gloves in my case.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if you're a transmog person, you can get the mythic transmogs that way.
Yeah, or
278 plus, I think.
Or if you're looking for like LFR transmog, catalyze some Zareth Mortis Sandworn gear, and don't have to set foot in LFR. So
true. What else are you gonna do with the 40,000 cosmic?
It's all
there's account wide.
The power is unbelievable. So much stuff you can do. So many ways you can get any of the transmogs from this tier very easily by just catalyzing something at the appropriate item level. All right, Tunnels. We are taking a look here at this. I've seen this. This is just the liquid
I watched
P3.
this live.
Yeah, my guild had a very similar experience to this. So you just go in Jailer P3. You just get your first heal done. You just blast the boss. You don't even need to heal Azeroth here. They're still doing it because for some reason, but you don't even have to like heal Azeroth or do the dodge. You don't even if you lust to the start of P3, you don't even get these ads. You don't even get that first defile. You can literally just nuke the boss from orbit, get a 3-stack, and then the boss
this
pushes into P4.
So this meteor cleave that they get right here looks so sus. Just where they are in the room. You're gonna see it here in just a second where they stack up for it. It is just the vents that they have.
Every hole is open.
Yeah. Just all the holes. It's like, what the hell is this meteor cleave?
Yeah, if you push fast enough and you don't get the first defile, you can actually get like a little runway of closed holes to do that on. But yeah, it's the boss just falls right over in P3, P4. That's due to the nature of the way that the nerfs worked, right? They nerfed boss HP, they nerfed P4 shield. You don't feel any difference in P1, P2 unless you push to 60 or 30% respectively, which will early push those phases. So all of that extra damage and health doesn't change P1 and P2, but then P3 all of a sudden is 20% as much time or something as it used to be, and P4 is also way less time. So if you're a guild that is still struggling with Jailer and you're like, hey, these nerfs, P1, P2 are still hard, rest assured that like there's a lot of invisible extra easiness that you're earning in P3 and P4 by doing the P2 and P1 prog.
P2 is always the hardest part.
P1 and P2 are actually hard,
Yeah, those phases remain tough, but if you keep your head screwed on tight, you have 20 people going into P3 at like 33% or less, you literally can just press Bloodlust, get a 3-stack of Azerite blood, and the boss will die before doing anything relevant from that point.
Bro,
but
the nerf to Decimator not having a knockback anymore? What is that nerf?
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. That used to knock on normal, I think, and they've just slowly started cutting difficulties that it knocked on until Mythic also doesn't anymore.
Yeah, what's funny about that clip, though, specifically, is from the beginning of that clip to the end of the fight, it used to be like 4 minutes before all these nerfs came through, and now it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that is the point of the fight that has changed, because P1 really hasn't changed too much at all. Like there's a slightly different heal sequence that you do, and it's a little bit more forgiving, and it's a lot less damage, but like you do all the same movement. But then P3, you do not do the old move. Like God, do you remember Echo used to get 2 sets of ads in that phase and have to do like all these movements and heal the boss 5 times in that phase? And if you miss a single tick, or you could miss 1 tick, but if you miss a second tick, you weren't making the push. Like, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazily different fight. And it's weird that the nerfs have landed so heavily on that phase, but it makes sense when you think about the nature of Jailer being just a, fixed length push to the end of the fight, basically. All right. Let's continue our questions and answers. We have an anonymous one that was, do y'all have any tips for getting into a Mythic raiding guild as someone who's only done Heroic? I know I'm not going to go from AOTC to Hall of Fame overnight, but I would like to eventually land in a cutting-edge environment and maybe start climbing up the ladder, but with no Mythic logs to really speak of, I'm not sure where to start or what guilds would even be looking at.
I know there are a lot of different, like, alt groups and stuff that I know are doing, like, through Prototype Pantheon. They're doing, like, 5 out of 11 runs.
There are also just guilds that are, 3 to 6 out of 11 that are recruiting and that will take people without Mythic logs if they have good Heroic logs. So those are... Yeah, good.
I was going to say, I think that, like, you can just... If you're on a big realm, you can just start by looking at guilds on your realm that are just looking for warm bodies. I guess, for lack of a better term, looking for warm bodies. And at that point, your best case scenario is to really make sure that you're focused on your own individual performance and getting logs for yourself. Because then at that point, if you're in a guild that is only looking for warm bodies and is not like a long-term good fit for you, you're going to want to probably jump ship before next expansion, and now maybe actually a decent time to be looking for another guild as well. So just really make sure that you're focusing on getting solid parses, and that way you are able to get to those cutting edge guilds, because like once you're in a guild that is, I guess, consistently getting cutting edge, and it may be like deep into farm where they're getting consistent cutting edge, at that point you can generally start to push yourself forward and push yourself. If you're trying to get to a Hall of Fame level, starting by getting into a guild that's consistently getting cutting edge, be there for 1 or 2 tiers potentially, and then moving forward, that's going to be your best bet.
Yeah, getting into that initial cutting edge guild is the hard part, though. And I think the short answer to it is meeting players that are in those guilds is the easiest way to do it. I actually didn't apply to a single guild and went from a normal raider to a top 10 US guild in 2 years. And I never applied once. It was all social connections, which is crazy when I think about it looking back.
Okay.
The only guild I ever applied to is my current guild now.
Dratnos, did you ever hear Trell just tell people that they should just become the #1 tank in the world for Mythic Plus? Because I think I just heard him say that.
Well, it is
you don't have to do that, but some version of that I think is the best way to do it.
It's like if you focus on your own play, the better you are, the higher, the easier and more likely it is you'll get an opportunity to try and jump some of those rungs of the ladder. Otherwise, you are looking at a climb up the ladder that can be many guilds long to kind of claw a couple extra ranks and bosses up each time.
I do think that a lot of the early Mythic bosses are puckable, though, and really, really focus on your own performance and get good logs, and that way you're able to leverage that into like further success, I think.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately, the better you play, the better everything is. Like that. Yeah. That's but absolutely like networking with people as well, and like being friendly and adding people to friends lists and doing keys with people in good guilds whenever you get the chance to, and like, just sticking on to them and then getting them to get you into their guilds is absolutely one of the best ways to do it if you can make that work. But of course, that's not always possible.
Just be the #1 tank in the US and be raiding with somebody who's a GM of a guild. Oh yeah, that'll work.
It's really simple.
You meet a lot of people doing Mythic Plus. Just saying.
Yeah.
I was not a good raider for a long time either. Like I think this expansion is when I've truly become an actually good raider, I feel like. And until then, I was kind of faking it till I made it, and that was because of social connections, which is how you get anywhere in life, unfortunately. And it's the idea of always trying to be like the worst or the dumbest in the room. Surround yourself with better players or smarter people, and you'll succeed and climb.
Yeah, that philosophy is the opposite of the one I had when constructing this podcast team. So, next question. Next question from King Brano, who says, if you could pick the pool of 8 dungeons, all expansions for an M+ season, what would it be?
Do we just want to go with like dungeons that have already pre-existed as
Yeah,
plus ones?
because my answer would be like,
picked WoD.
give me 8
So-
Dragonflight dungeons, and I'm happy for season 1. But if we were just like making a new season of existing dungeons of just our favorites, I don't know. Do you guys want?
Freehold for
and
sure.
HOA.
I'm in
I
for
think
Freehold.
are.
Any?
Are you in for Halls? I think Halls is a top 8 dungeon.
Okay, I could do halls. How about what do you think about like Court of Stars?
Halls is okay.
Do we like Court of
I
Stars?
think Court of Stars, yeah.
Yeah, I like Court. It's certainly a dungeon that like the profession gimmicky stuff I was not super thrilled with. I do think that like the dungeon as a whole is really fun though. So I mean, I guess if we're picking 8, I'm down to take Court.
Can I get any interest in an Underrot in our collection here?
I like Underrot.
Okay.
Speaking of Underrot.
So is that 4 now? How do
Yeah.
you feel about a Gambino?
Okay, I like Gambit. Yeah.
Or got
That's
5?
How about maybe lower Karazhan?
I'm in. Yeah. There's
Yeah, I like Lower Kara a lot. I was trying to think of other Legion dungeons.
EOA's.
Yeah, EOA was another one that jumps
EOA
to
is pretty
mind.
good.
And then we have one more.
I loved Blacker Cold, but I know a lot of people did not. So
A polarizing
have to
dungeon.
veto. I'm a hard veto the Black or Cold pick.
It's just the Brewmasters, man. Brewmasters love that dungeon.
This guy's
Dude,
this
that was
guy's gonna next be
insanely
like,
good.
God, I loved Halls of Valor. Okay, you can keep your opinion.
How about Cohen or Seat of the Triumvirate?
Go with no. Really
the
struggling.
Triumvirate.
Do we,
to
want, do we want to go back to Mop or Wad or anything? Or
I just didn't play those enough. I was
Yeah?
before my time. I don't know.
okay,
I mean, maybe if Iron Docks ends up being lit, I'm down. But like, I think that's like the only one that could really be like that great. It's like Iron Docks.
could be a Junkyard angle or something.
I
A
like Junkyard
Taldazar, perhaps.
personally. A Tal. So the problem with the Tal is, I think, without snapping,
Oh
the
yeah.
Tal is infinitely worse as a dungeon.
I wonder if you just still snap them and you just let your tank get beat up while they're evading for 4 seconds.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe we only have 7.
All right. Dealer's choice on the last one.
I'm giving you 7. King's Rest.
King's Rest.
King's Rest, that's good. King's Rest, Sanguine Depths, Halls of Valor. We just put some in the season to make you feel good about the other dungeons that are in there.
Holy shit.
All right. Next question comes from Braden, who says, first time caller, long time listener. Where do you rank Encrypted at all time as a seasonal affix? What class have you had the most fun on in Shadowlands playing Mythic Plus? Where's the best Shadowlands dungeon rank in a list of BFA dungeons? Okay, so let's go through this one at a time. Where do you rank Encrypted all time as a seasonal affix?
I think
Best
it's
seasonal
above
affix is
average.
Expansion.
I think I have it as number 2 under Awakened.
Yeah, I'd say top 3. A lot of
Yeah.
people in chat are saying that too.
I like Reaping as well, but I feel like Encrypted is better than Reaping. I loved, like, Reaping maybe I enjoyed more, but it was like, you know, it's the way you enjoy, like, potato chips, but you know they're not as good for you, right?
Yeah,
I like
Just, like,
the
grabbing a
average,
handful
yeah.
and just being like, oh, yummy.
It's definitely the best one this expansion.
Yeah. What class have you had the most fun on in Shadowlands playing M+?
God.
Well, Tettles has played Moonkin
Shadowlands.
and Serve, right? And I assume it's Serve.
I did have a lot of fun playing. I played an AF Warlock in
Ooh.
season 1 and season 2 a little bit as well.
Okay.
Probably
I-
Survival Hunter. Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of DPS specs this X-Pack, mostly tanks this time. So I'd say, I mean, very biased, but Brewmaster this season has been my favorite by far.
Yeah,
I've not played DK.
Even DK being meta and how it is right now with perma rune weapon, I still think Brewmaster's more fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched you play Brew. Like, any season where you are playing Brew, you're usually having a blast. And this is one of the seasons where you're playing Brew, so... I think
Yeah.
Brew's in a good spot, though, right now, too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can almost always keep myself alive, which is what makes it fun.
Are you trying to say that one season that he had to play Trelskior, he was not having a blast?
Trelskadin.
I do remember that season that he played Warrior.
Yeah. For me, it's probably Vengeance. I don't know. I had a lot of fun as Vengeance, even early expansion, even when you had to kite. And this season, Vengeance has actually been pretty fun to do, but I haven't done high keys on it, and I don't think I'd want to. I've been doing like some mid-ish keys on Windwalker recently. That's been fun too. But
Windwalker would probably be my second pick.
I'm
sure.
very bad at Windwalker is the problem, but it's fun to it's fun to play anyways.
Didn't you do like high level keys in season 1 as Windwalker? How are you still bad at that?
It's
How
look,
are
it's a
you
hard
still bad at that
spec, man. I don't know.
Well,
I
you
don't know
only
what's
played
wrong
for like a
with me.
week too.
Yeah, I
mean,
did
you
only.
gotta play it. You
Yeah,
gotta play like every affix set multiple times to really get your grounds on the spec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because you were normally pretty good at just picking up every single spec and being not that bad at it.
Windwalker, Fire Mage. These specs just have my number, man. Like I start playing them and I'm just like doing the bad thing, and I can't stop my fingers from doing I can't stop the fireballs and combustion. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know what's happening.
The Lorgok combust. It's just ingrained in me.
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I do know I just want to keep playing those specs so that I eventually work it out. I don't know.
Sure.
Where does the best Shadowlands dungeon rank in a list of BFA dungeons? So we're talking about Halls or Gambit or something ranking up in a list of BFA dungeons. I think probably mid to high.
In a list of all BFA dungeons.
Yeah. I don't think you're
I'd
beating like
say-
Freehold or Underrot for
Yeah.
me, but you probably beat most of the
Agreed.
others with Halls.
I'd say
Gambit-
Freehold, Underup, Motherload are all above the best Shadow.
Oh, I forgot about Motherload. That could be a good one for our 8 dungeons. Love that place.
Yeah, I agree actually.
You guys playing the same Motherlode as me? Like,
Did you ever rop and like shining a guy to the edge of a hut, and then he goes and pilots the Peacekeeper inside instead of a different one?
Yeah,
and
that was
you're
a
just
cool
like
tech.
Giga Brain, you know?
You ever-
feel
you
it
ever
expanding?
you ever mess up your ROP 3 dungeons in a row and pilot the wrong Peacekeeper over and over again and then have to get count in the wrong wing of the dungeon that you would otherwise skip the whole entire part?
Definitely have done that.
Yeah, or be eliminated to 1 tick of Rixa Flux Flames dot.
What
Yes.
about the one melee just getting shot 3 times
Grease
by a
gun?
Jockey over and
Oh,
over
yes,
again
the
for no
fervent strike.
reason?
A stunned mob as well, and you can just see the mob is stunned, and it just like a gun appears in its hand
Pulls
and then
out his pistol and
disappears.
kills the warrior. Yeah.
Just-
And your rogue is dead, and you're just like,
the mob
why
is
are you
stunned,
dead?
but the little goblin, the gun is teleporting into his hand. And he's shooting.
Okay. I don't know how you guys are like, oh yeah, Motherlode's a great dungeon, but you know what? It's fine if you. I think that Gambit is better than every dungeon except for Freehold from last expansion. For me personally, I think that I also think that Gambit is a really really good dungeon though.
I agree. It's actually a really good one.
I will say though, that I think the mid Shadowlands or the mid BFA dungeons were better than the mid Shadowlands dungeons by quite a bit. Like the
Oh yeah.
the talls and that kind
Oh.
of stuff, the junkyards, right? Like, yeah.
Oh, the problem with the BFA dungeons is that there was a very stark. Okay, these are not bad, and it's like, oh, I'm in dungeon prison, and there was
Yeah.
like 4. There's like 3 of them, and you're just
King's
like,
Rest.
oh, what
Maybe a
mines?
shrine,
Toldagor.
maybe.
Yeah, Shrine for a lot of people. Some people love Shrine, but a lot of people it was
I'm
true
still,
prison.
I still think Borealis is the worst dungeon I've ever
Oh,
done.
Siege. Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh god. You mess up the spotter one time in Siege. Oh, it's over.
All right. Next question comes from Dratnos' Dino Pillow in Discord, who says, why is it that generally players' favorite dungeons, Freehold, Junkyard, Maw of Souls, tend to be the easier dungeons, whereas the hated or least favorite ones, King's Rest, DOS, and Sanguine, tend to be the harder dungeons? I read this, like for me, DOS in particular is not one that I even have like that negative of a vibe towards, but I think it makes sense that like if there's a dungeon you fail 80% of the time, and a dungeon you fail 20% of the time, like the negative feelings of the failure get attached to those dungeons.
That's kind of a funny thing to put in those words because Maw was actually probably one of the harder dungeons in Legion, but it was
one of the
looked
hardest
back
ones.
on pretty fondly by most people because it was short.
Yeah,
I
because you
think-
weren't doing it at failure level, you were just spamming it at artifact power level.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maw and
but on
NL
Ike's, Maw was really hard.
Yeah, Maw and NL were by far the hardest. I'm pretty sure like the highest level Maw of Souls and Nell Slayer were like 27s when the highest level key that was done was like a 30.
Yeah, exactly. I think in reality it's the super long and moderately difficult to very difficult dungeons like DOS, Sanguine Depths, King's Rest. King's Rest is probably the hardest out of all those, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's also one of those things that the imbalance is also why players are going to generally be less fond of the dungeon just as a whole. Like if there is a 2 or 3 key level delta just in the dungeons, yeah, you're gonna hate the one that's like 3 key levels harder than the other dungeons that you're doing. It's just it's like why is it that much harder? I think it's just like predisposed to being disliked because it's like I'm not able to do that dungeon at the same level that I'm even able to do the other dungeons because it's that much harder. And
yeah, I remember
generally it's because of like amplified problems, like whatever. What were you gonna say, Charles? Sorry.
I remember at the end of BFA getting like I completed a 30 junkyard, right? We loot the chest and we see the key and it's a 31 King's Rest. And if it was like a 31 of any other key, you maybe just do it or you lower it by 1 key. But I think I had to lower that thing like 4 key levels to go attempt a 27.
We'll do 26 KR. 31 junkyard in time. 26, 27 King's Rest. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I believe that does it for our Q&A questions.
wait.
Was there one
Hold
more?
on.
Did I miss one?
Posted one from chat.
Unless?
Okay.
Unless, hold on. There you go. One final one.
All right. Last question comes from Seguin, who says, is now a good time to come back if we've been away since Castle Nathria ended?
Yeah, I would say so. If you're looking to play the game again and raid, especially now is the time to get back
Yeah.
into it for Dragonflight.
You could wait a couple months if you wanted to, but if you feel like playing World of Warcraft, now's a good time. You hit the ground running next season, and then you really hit the ground running in Dragonflight. You know?
I hike
This
you
is
like
also-
this patch too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
this
I
is
don't
also
know.
this is the golden time of the expansion. You know, this is when all the issues are fixed after the 0.1.5 patch. So this is when you actually want to play the game.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good time to come back. I will. It's not like if your goal was just to play Dragonflight and you'd written off Shadowlands, like you don't have to come back yet. But there's still a lot of fun to have in Shadowlands, and definitely the sooner you come back, the better you'll be in Dragonflight for sure. All right, now it is time for us to thank our supporters over on the Patreon who make these episodes possible. We are very, very thankful to all of them. Some of them include Paul. Just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called garbage can, not garbage cannot. Socket the Barrier, Ja, Dratnos' Dino Pillow, Chromed, Trekkie, Never Nude, Chewy. I'm at the point of life where wild spirits means random cocktails. ZivXX, Salty Senny, Necris, Sinmora, Tankdill, Neva, Red Ceratops, Eevee Survival Main, No Trick, I forgot I was sub-tier, Dymat, Lufer, Rework Mistweaver, Hectomonogon are basically circles, right, Dratnos? That's a made-up polygon. Octagon is the highest, the highest degree of polygon that
Hey,
science
at least
has
people
found.
backed me up in our Discord and let me know that I was correct. There are higher
No
higher
shot.
levels of polygons.
No shot. More than 8? I
What?
can't even count that high. I don't even have that many
No.
fingers.
Conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists are running wild these days, man.
Yeah, actually, having done Jailer recently, I'm pretty sure Hexagon is where it stops. Nyx, I've ascended to Circle. Points are meaningless to me. Your pentagram, your hexagram, even your decahedron, I'm sure that's made up as well, are all insignificant, for I am the hitbox. Gallic, Brusif, Dratnos Abyss, Power Infusers stay winning. Pepe Laugh Tea Time. M-Sanity, Xena, Rogue is now good enough for Prague, still bad enough to be sat for SLG, Bless Up, Red Color, YouTube.com/Workbringer, Alphabet Soup, Druid Friends of Evolved Gaming, Number One Simsky for Trelsky. Dratnos needs to know about the icosagon and the n-gon, n-2 times 180 degrees over n. Just
Isn't that the
completely made up stuff, I'm sure. I think that's the
isn't
formula
that the
for pi.
for-
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought that was
Something
the
like that.
formula for shooting stars diminishing returns.
Oh, could
Well,
be. Yeah,
pi
yeah.
is a circle, so
Yeah, right.
What's
That's the highest degree of polygon. Yeah.
I see.
I got flamed for not interrupting in Arathi Basin Comp Stomp. Milk, Sifei, Pone, Windwalker Monks deal with nerfs by rolling with the punches. Due to Sims with 4-piece, Skelly will be going back to Elemental from Enhance. And y'all got any more of them talent trees? I hope we do.
I have an inquiry before we bounce out of here.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about them keeping Power Infusion?
Pain.
I don't think we
Boo.
didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, we did kind of skip over it at the top. To me, the biggest point of pain is like, next expansion, we're going to have Unholy DKs getting shot again. We're going to have Venthyr Moonkins getting shot again. We're going to have Demo Locks getting shot again. And it's just like these specs, whichever spec is the best one, with Power Infusion, it's always got this sort of Damocles hanging over its head for even if you're a player, like if you're a demo lock that just doesn't have a PI and you're just randomly getting shot 4 months or 4 weeks into Sepulcher farm because other ones do. I feel like that's a really unhealthy balancing thing that they've had. I mean, every single raid this year, they've shot a different spec because it was the best PI spec. And yeah, I think that's a symptom of something that is not good to have in the game. So hopefully, if they want to keep Power Infusion, maybe they can just commit to letting the best Power Infusion spec stay, or I don't know. I don't know how to fix it, but well, I do delete Power Infusion, but besides that, I don't know what to do.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It's always going to go to the most mathematically
and
high damage
that's
user.
to some extent that's fine, right? But it's like, okay, but then if we're nerfing that spec for that reason, like this is a really unhealthy. And you see, Moonkin, Venthyr Moonkin, just getting hit really hard as a result of that, and yeah, I don't know.
It's one of those things that like maybe there's a way to have computational changes to like details or whatever to where you're able to reflect that, but I don't even think that
I don't think you can do it with a haste buff. You could do it if you just made it a % damage buff, but Power Infusion is fun because it's haste. If it was just a % damage buff, that would not be fun anymore given to you.
It's why like with like Devo Aura and stuff like that, you could technically calculate that into like a damage meter because it's damage reduction.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do, or not impossible, it's unlikely.
You could estimate it in details perhaps, but it would just be an estimate, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, that is going...
Oh, sorry. I was also going to shout out real quick to, I forgot I was subbed here. Shout out to that guy. Or girl.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that's going to be it for us this week. No show next week, but maybe we'll have a Dragonflight Alpha at any time soon, so we'll be back the following week, and potentially we'll talk about that if it's come out, or if there's no Dragonflight Alpha by then. I don't know. We'll continue to be slightly increasingly panicked every week about the prospects of the upcoming expansion.
And I heard a rumor that we may be giving away some Dragonflight Epic Editions.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe in
possibly
next show.
Stay tuned. All right. Later, gamers.
Bye.